Hey, this is Dave with the Acme Kitchen Crate. Want to go over some of the best pepper grinders on the market today. These are, some of the highest rated ones. I want to go over differences between them and why I chose the particular one I did in the kit. And so the contenders here is the Cole & Mason. This is a really nice piece because it's the only of these that actually has a selectable grind setting that's consistent. So you can turn the dial to be able to actually pick what grind setting you want, and it's pretty accurate and it's going to be repeatable, which is really nice. You also have the kind of clear window which gives you a viewing of how much is in there. So it's a really nice pepper grinder. It's just not particularly premium feeling. It's kind of a finished plastic, so it's nice. It also means it's kind of the most reasonably priced of some of these, except for this guy. But it's not a copper or aluminum piece like the other ones. But otherwise, as far as an operational grinder, fantastic. The next one I'll go over here is the Atlas. This is actually made in Greece. They have them in different materials. This one's in copper with the brass accents. They use a really nice grinder, and you're going to adjust the grind on the bottom, which allows you, really good control of your grind size, and it's a very consistent grinder, which I like. The handle also means you get really good leverage. So depending on your grip strength, if you're not someone who can grip really well, then you're really going to like this because this is an easier turn to be able to grind. So some people find this to be a easier grinder to use, but really a gorgeous piece that works very well. Unicorn, this is one that was a really big hit for a long time because it's just a massive opening. It can hold a lot of pepper and it can grind a lot really quickly. So this was really popular with people who are doing a lot of barbecue and things like that. When you need to get a lot of pepper really quickly, this was really popular. This has kind of been since surpassed, though, by these new kind of grinders that have come out that are all made of aluminum billet that they mill into a pepper mill. And so there's a few different companies who make these now, this style of absolutely solid aluminum pepper grinders. But these things are just like cannons. These put out so much pepper really quickly. So if you're doing any kind of barbecue or you're doing anything where you need a lot of pepper, this is the one to get. Period, hands down. Don't even look anywhere else. This one's fantastic. I also really like that this one comes with a cup on the bottom. Originally, I didn't love that because I was always kind of like, oh, it's an extra step of having to take the cup off when I want to just quickly grind something. But one of the things I kept noticing is, which has always been an issue with any of these, is as soon as after you grind and you set it down, it leaves little pockets of pepper on the counter. And so I've actually always had one of my little mini coquettes, and I've just personally used that as my pepper base, as something to be able to drop it into, so that way every time I put it down, it's not dropping pepper on the counter. With this, you actually have that built in. And then the other benefit is you can grind into the base, and then now you have this to actually dispense it out. So it kind of does double duty. And if you really don't want to use this, you don't have to. You can just leave it off and you can just use it like any of the others. And then it makes it even shorter and more compact. So I've kind of really grown to actually appreciate having the option to have this on here. This one also has got a adjustment on the bottom. The negative of this one that I don't love is there's just too many clicks, too many settings. So this is, I believe, 32 clicks. And so it's really hard to get back to a specific grind size that you were at versus this guy where you just have 6 choices and you're done. So that's one thing I really wish they would improve on this, but it's really not that big of a deal. And honestly, I rarely change my grind size. I'm usually going to have my everyday grind, and then when I need to make it larger for like a cracked pepper type thing, and then that's it. And those are really the only two. And so you could really quickly, adjust it and then do a test grind, and it's not that big of a deal. But that is the one negative I don't love about this. If you're someone who wants to change between grind sizes a lot, then you're really going to enjoy the Cole Mason having those presets. So let me do like a little demo with these so you can actually kind of see how they operate and what kind of grind you're going to get. So I'll start with the Cole Mason. This is actually still going to give you a really good amount of pepper per grind. So, that's 3, kind of half twists right there. So you can see you're getting a pretty good amount. And then I'll go into the Atlas here, and you can just see you've got a really good grind, and then it's just really easy to cycle. You do have to spin it more than you do have to as far as twisting this, but the actual motion of doing that I think is easier. You can see you get a really nice even grind with both of these. And then I'll go into the Unicorn. I find the Unicorn to be a little more inconsistent when it comes to the actual grind itself. I think you're going to get a better grind quality with the Atlas and the Cold Mason. And then kind of the real champ here is the MannKitchen. So the MannKitchen, you just get a lot more pepper per grind. And so you can really get a ton of pepper really fast. So that's one of the things I really like with this guy. You get a lot of pepper really fast. The construction materials, you know, having that aluminum body, it just feels nice in the hand. And so I really like having that. So that's why this is really my favorite. But honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these three, depending on what it is you're doing. But I definitely think this is really kind of worth the splurge, which is why the MannKitchen is the one that I have in my kit. And I include it in all of the kits because I think it's just worth having a really awesome pepper grinder. And if you are someone who likes to change settings a lot and stuff like that, you know, these aren't that bad. You know, these, depending on the finish and stuff that you get, you know, they're 50 to 75 range. And so you could always have one of these also in addition to this guy, and, you know, keep this one as your pepper grinder on the table and use it when you want to quickly adjust settings. And then otherwise, this is your main guy for just general use in the kitchen. So you kind of have some options there when it comes to that. And then one thing you'll kind of notice is I don't actually have any salt grinders. I don't really believe in salt grinders because generally I care about the texture of the salt. And so one of the things I love is having a salt keeper. And so I've got two different ones that I include in the set. And so I've got my general salt keeper that I use just for my general kosher salt. So right now this is just some Morton's kosher that I use. So one of the other things I've got is with my finishing salts, with my Malden salts, I have both the natural unflavored and then I have their smoked salt. And so I really like having, you know, kind of the two, so I can pick my texture if I want my, you know, kosher salt for just general picking up and salting on something. And this gives you a lot more control. When you're going overhead, you can get a really nice even sprinkling. When you're doing things with a grinder, it's a little harder to get an even grind. You can see how it's just really kind of sprinkles and stuff. So having a salt grinder, it's kind of a more challenging thing. You know, you're just better off using your hands and just being able to just sprinkle it on the food. And then when you're doing your final, you know, salting for finished food, that's when having the finishing salts is nice. So I like having the mix of them, and then I can choose the texture I want of the salt by choosing which salt I want. If I want it to be a fine salt, if you're somebody who wants table salt, you can use this with table salt, and there you go. That's all you need. You don't need to grind it any further. So these are my favorites. They make this guy here. These are both from RSVP. So I'll have links to all of these in the description below. But RSVP, they make this guy here in multiple different finishes. So this is in the white marble. They also make a dark marble and black. And I've also got, this is in the olive wood. So the olive wood is really nice here as well. Just depending on what your kitchen is and what finishes you like. So I like, you know, between having, you know, these, you pretty much cover everything depending on what you need. So you've got your finishing salt, your everyday salt, your everyday pepper, and, you know, this is a nice table grinder, which if you want to have the additional settings and stuff. This is kind of optional. I don't mind having both, but otherwise, you know, this is my general go-to for salt and pepper. So yeah, please take a look at the links in the descriptions if you want to buy any of these. If you're interested in the full kitchen crate, I'll have a link over here on the kitchen crate itself where you can buy the whole collection. Otherwise, check out some of my other videos going over other comparisons and things like that. And thank you, and see you on the next one.